Hey guys, how's it going and welcome to the Mina channel. Now typically I don't do videos like this where I address particular articles or something like that and discussing about them, but I thought this particular article was really interesting and I'm just gonna talk through it and read a little bit about it and then just give you some thoughts on why I disagree on this particular article that I saw here. So a couple days ago, I saw an article from GameRant. Now GameRant does a lot of articles, so they done quite a bit of trash and good articles on Persona. So I'm pretty divided on what they do with Persona, but this article particularly just piqued my interest for a couple different reasons. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Now this article is from 2 days ago by Brittany Finley, which is titled Persona 6 has a Elder Scroll 6 problem. Now, from the title itself, this is really interesting because it has a lot of different potential for a lot of different stuff. And mainly, third points are the fact that the Persona 5 was really successful, and Atlus did put a lot of their eggs in the basket when it comes to that game. That means that whatever game comes next needs to peak or needs to go above and beyond Persona 6. Now the thing about Skyrim is that it's pretty much the same thing. Elder Scrolls has been a long time series, but Skyrim seems to have one is a fan favorite, and two, it seems that it really improved a lot in previous games. So I can see where she's coming from. However, my main thing about this is, if you look at Persona 5 from an outside perspective, or even just from a perspective of somebody that's played Persona games before, you can see that Persona 5 is not perfect. There's actually a lot of things wrong with Persona 5, and even as a huge fan, a fan that has literally made a channel dedicated for Persona and a lot of Shin Megami Tensei and RPGs, I can see Persona and say, yeah, it's a really good game, and it really did improve in a lot of aspects from Persona games prior, but I can definitely see so much improvement, so many things that they can do better. And in fact, I have made a whole list of videos pertaining to all the stuff that I would like to see changed as Persona 6 progresses. So in my sense, I really don't see Persona 5 as this ultimate RPG that can never be challenged and it will be really difficult to pick or anything like that. But in fact, I do see Persona 5 as a really good RPG that can definitely improve in a lot of different aspects, and there's a lot of stuff that I can see that it can do better. And I feel like as a fan, that's really the best way to look at things. Skyrim, for example, which is also again a fan favorite for a lot of people, it may not be everybody's favorite RPG or action RPG, which in a sense it may be crazy for a lot of people to hear, but Skyrim is good and it has a lot of stuff. But I also saw a lot of issues with Skyrim, especially comparing to games like Oblivion, which is another previous game in the series, which I like better, and it's just for a lot of different reasons. Now Skyrim, when it came out, it had a ton of issues, especially in the PS3. I don't know if anybody remembers, but back in the day when it came out, it had major glitches. Now, I know it's a joke when it comes to Bethesda games and glitches and stuff, but this game was almost unplayable on the PlayStation 3. It broke over and over again. It will close in the middle of gameplay. In fact, when I turned werewolf the first time, the screen went white. I couldn't even exit out. I couldn't do anything. The game was just stuck in this aspect, and I just had to wait until the game let me play again and everything. It was a really bad experience at first. Of course, games did patch up and things get better over time and everything, but the initial impression of that game, although I did really enjoy Skyrim, was this game is a mess. There's a lot of stuff to the game that really bother me. Of course, over time things change and things get better and everything. There's a lot of aspects in Skyrim that I did like and enjoy, like the way that this combat work and all the different stuff. However, the story didn't seem to be really good. I thought it was pretty okay. So if I were to say, yeah, Skyrim did good, but there's also a lot of aspects of Skyrim that can do better. So the article titled Persona 6 as a Elder Scrolls 6 issue, I don't see it as an issue at all, because there's again a lot of aspects that the game can definitely improve. Both of these games can. Now you can say, in a sense, Skyrim was really revolutionary and it did a lot of things for open world games or for RPGs and everything like that. But after all, I don't see it like that. I see that these games were flawed games in some aspects. Sure, they were Game of the Year in their respective years, for me particularly, but I can also see that there's a lot of stuff that can be worked on these games. I can also see that there's a lot of things that I will say, yeah, these games did a lot of good stuff, but how about these improvements? How about the stuff that we can look forward to and everything? I don't think that we should ever put a game in a perspective where the game just sits at a pedestal what is perfect, and it can never be better than that. Because the moment that we start doing that, the moment that we start accepting mediocrity, and having mediocre games is not fun. I mean, if you look at games in the last couple years, when it comes to even big franchises like the Mass Effect games, the Mass Effect games were really good, including the third one, which was, debatable in that aspect. But when you put it against something like Mass Effect Andromeda, which did really poorly both as fans and as actual game, and that's when you start saying, yeah, games were good. That doesn't mean that we need to accept mediocre games just because a franchise is big or just because a game did really good at one point. We always need to look at it in a perspective of, as a fan, what do I want from this game and what I expect from future games? Because these franchises, again, the moment that you start just putting them in a pedestal as the perfect game, that's the moment when you get more mediocre games and everything. And I'm not one to accept that. I want the best of the best, and I trust Atlus. That I feel like a lot of the stuff that they do sometimes is pretty in the sketchy line, but also sometimes they do pretty good decisions and they make some really good games. So I particularly expect them to do good, but I also expect them to improve on the stuff that they have already done. Anyway, that is pretty much in the discussion video here. I left an article in the description down below if you guys want to read the actual article. It's actually a pretty small article, and it has a TLDR if you don't want to read the article or anything like that. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. If you're new, please consider liking and subscribing. I'll see you guys next time.